Part 5. The Prophecy Unveiled. The safe house was little more than a crumbling bunker tucked into a narrow canyon, its entrance obscured by jagged rocks and overgrown brush. Lio felt a wave of unease as Cade pushed open the heavy steel door, revealing a dimly lit interior that smelled faintly of oil and dust. She hesitated at the threshold, her instincts urging her to turn back, but the weight of exhaustion and fear pushed her forward. Inside, the bunker was a chaotic mix of makeshift living quarters and tactical planning. Maps and photographs were pinned to the walls, their edges curling with age. A battered table in the center of the room was covered with weapons, radios, and scraps of paper scribbled with notes. A single lantern cast flickering shadows across the walls, giving the space an otherworldly feel. Dane was already there, sure, his rifle slung over his shoulder as he paced the room. He looked up as Lio entered, his piercing blue eyes narrowing slightly. "So this is the one everyone's after," he said, his tone somewhere between curiosity and suspicion. Lio bristled at his words. "I'm standing right here, you know," she snapped, "and I have a name. It's Leora." Dane raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "Well, Leora, you've got a lot of people killed by showing up here." "That's enough," Cade said, stepping between them. His voice was calm but firm, a quiet authority that seemed to silence even Dane. "She didn't ask for this." Dane snorted, running a hand through his short, dark hair. "Maybe not, but that doesn't change the fact that she's a walking target. Every reptilian, giant, and fallen angel out there is going to be gunning for her." "They already are," Cade replied. "That's why we need to figure out our next move." Lio folded her arms, her frustration bubbling over. "I'm right here," she said again, louder this time, "and I'd really appreciate it if someone would tell me why I'm apparently so important." Cade and Dane exchanged a look, a silent conversation passing between them. Finally, Cade sighed and turned to Lio. "It's because of the prophecy," he said. "The prophecy?" she repeated, her voice dripping with skepticism. "You're kidding, right?" "I wish I were," Cade said. He gestured to a small stack of ancient-looking scrolls on the table. The prophecy was written by one of the first humans to learn the truth about the supernatural world. It speaks of a time when the balance of power will shift, when humanity will either rise or fall, and at the center of it all is someone with a unique lineage, someone who can tip the scales. Lio stared at him, her mind racing. "And you think that someone is me?" "It's not what I think," Cade said. "It's what the reptilians, the giants, and the fallen angels think. They've been watching your family for generations, waiting for the right time." Her stomach churned as his words sank in. "That's insane," she said, shaking her head. "I'm just an archaeologist." "I'm not." "You're not just an archaeologist," Cade interrupted. "Your family's bloodline is tied to the fallen angels. That's why the reptilians are after you. They think you're the key to unlocking something they've been searching for. A weapon, a gateway, something that could give them ultimate power." Lio opened her mouth to argue, but the words caught in her throat. She thought of the strange symbols on the tablet, the way they seemed to pulse under her touch. She thought of the voice she had heard whispering her name, and the feeling of being watched ever since she'd found it. "What do they want with me?" she asked finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "That's what we need to figure out," Cade said. He nodded toward the scrolls. "The answers are in there. We need to decode the rest of the prophecy before they do." Dane let out a low whistle, his eyes flicking to Lio. "Well, no pressure or anything," he said dryly. Lio ignored him, her attention focused on the scrolls. She reached for the nearest one, her hands trembling slightly as she unrolled it. The parchment was brittle and yellowed with age, the text written in a language she didn't recognize. But the symbols were the same as the ones on the tablet. Her heart pounded as she traced the markings with her finger. "These symbols," she said, "they're on the tablet I found." Cade nodded. "They're part of an ancient language that predates human civilization. The fallen angels used it to record their teachings. Most of it has been lost or destroyed, but a few fragments remain." "And you can read this?" she asked, looking up at Aum. "Not all of it," Cade admitted, "but I know someone who can." "Who?" Dane asked, his tone skeptical. Cade hesitated, a shadow passing over his face. "A giant," he said finally. Her name is Kyora. She's different from the others. She doesn't share their hatred for humanity. Dane's expression darkened. You're out of your mind if you think we can trust a giant, he said. They're monsters. They eat people, for God's sake. Not all of them, Kate said. Kaora has been questioning her kind for years. If anyone can help us, it's her. Leo felt a flicker of hope, but it was quickly overshadowed by fear. And how exactly are we supposed to find her? She asked. She's not just going to show up and offer to help. Cade's expression grew grim. No, he said, but I know where she is, and if we're going to survive, we're going to need her. As the three of them discussed their next steps, Leo felt a strange sensation, a tingling at the back of her neck, like the brush of cold fingers. She turned her head, scanning the room, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. Something wrong? Kate asked, noticing her distraction. I don't know, she said, frowning. I feel like we're being watched. Dane let out a humorless laugh. We're always being watched, he said. Get used to it. But Leo couldn't shake the feeling. As she looked around again, her eyes landed on a small mirror hanging on the wall. For a moment, she thought she saw something. A shadowy figure standing behind her, its glowing eyes fixed on her. She spun around, her heart racing, but the room was empty. Leo? Cade said, his voice laced with concern. It's nothing, she said quickly, shaking her head. I'm just tired. But she couldn't shake the image from her mind. The shadow had been there, she was sure of it. And whoever or whatever it wasn't finished with her yet. Deep in the desert, Sivera kneels before a towering figure cloaked in darkness. They're heading for Kyora, she says, her voice dripping with malice. Shall I intercept them? The figure steps forward, its glowing amber eyes piercing the darkness. No, it says. Let them come. Kyora will choose her side soon enough, and when she does, we'll be waiting.